In this video, we're going to have a look at finding the quark compositions of various mesons and baryons. So the first question you want to ask yourself is this a baryon or a meson? So for a proton, that's definitely a baryon, meaning it's made up of 3 quarks. Then you want to break down the charge, baryon number, and strangeness of this particle. So for a proton, the charge would be 1. The baryon number would be 1 because all baryons have a baryon number of 1. And the strangeness would be 0 unless it tells you otherwise in the question. For example, in this one, it tells you the strangeness is -1, so we're going to have to use that later on. Now, because the strangeness is 0, that tells you that we don't really deal with the strange quark. So what combinations of up and down quarks, 3 of them, give you a charge of 1 and a baryon number of 1? Well, 2/3 plus 2/3 is 4/3. Take away 1/3 is 1. So to get charge of +1, you need 2 up quarks and a down quark. And just to double check, the strangeness would also add to give 0. The baryon number would be 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, so it's 1. So it matches. Let's now move on to a neutron. Once again, is this a baryon or a meson? It's a baryon, meaning it's made up of 3 quarks. Let's again break down the charge, baryon number, and strangeness. Strangeness will again be 0 because it doesn't specify that there's a strangeness, so we assume there isn't. The baryon number would be 1 because it is a baryon. Charge would be 0 because a neutron is uncharged. So what 3 quarks combine to give you a charge of 0, baryon number of 1, and strangeness of 0? So to get a charge of 0, you'll need 1 up quark and 2 down quarks because 2/3 minus 1/3 minus 1/3 gets you to a charge of 0. So it tells you that it's up, down, down. Also, 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 will also get you that baryon number of 1. And in both cases, the strangeness would still remain and be 0. Moving on to a meson now. The fact that it's a meson means that it's a quark and antiquark pair. And just a reminder, there's 3 antiquarks. An anti-up quark would have a opposite charge of -2/3e and a baryon number of -1/3. The opposite of 0 is just 0, so we just leave strangeness as it is. Same happens with the anti-down quark. It'll have a charge of +1/3e, but a baryon number of -1/3. Great. So what combination of quark and antiquark gives you, well, let's break this down, a charge of 1? The baryon number would be 0 because this isn't a baryon, it's a meson. And the strangeness would also be 0 because, again, it's not specified to have a strangeness in the question. So it'll actually be an up and an anti-down quark because an anti-down quark would give you a charge of 1/3e, which would add to the 2/3e to give you a total charge of +1. On top of that, the -1/3 on the baryon number cancels out with the +1/3 on the baryon number to give you a total baryon number of 0. So we write up and anti-down. Let's do that. Up, anti-down. Perfect. Now a K- particle has a strangeness of -1, so straight off the bat that tells you that it needs to have a strange quark. But sorry, I've skipped a few steps, but because it's a meson, it's made up of a quark and an antiquark. Not only that, but its charge will be -1, its baryon number would be 0. So hopefully you're seeing this sort of method that I'm using, and it works for all questions. And the strangeness is -1, which is why it has to have a strange quark. If it has a strange quark, then that means its charge right now is -1/3e. It needs an extra charge of -2/3e in order to have a total charge of -1. And that charge needs to be an antiquark. In this case, it's an anti-up quark because that would give the opposite charge of -2/3e that we're looking for. So that's a strange and anti-up quark. Finally, a pi naught meson. Once again, let's break it down. Is it a baryon or a meson? It's a meson, meaning it's made up of 1 quark and 1 antiquark. What's the charge on the particle? It's 0. The baryon number is 0 because anything that's not a baryon has a baryon number of 0. The strangeness, again, we assume it's 0 because it hasn't told us that there's a specific strangeness. What combination of quark and antiquark would provide this? Well, in this case, there's actually 2 options. There's the up and anti-up quark, or down and anti-down. So you have to be, you can use any of these and both of these will get you the mark, but again, because of the same reasons, an up quark would have 2/3e charge, an anti-up quark would have a -2/3e charge, so they'll cancel out, as well as the baryon numbers will cancel out to give you a charge of 0 and a baryon number of 0. And in both cases, the strangeness would also be 0. Hopefully that gives you a more of a template, an idea on how to deal with quark compositions. And if you have any questions with it, just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, be sure to like the video if it helped and subscribe. I'll post more content like this very soon.